Here it is, Albuquerque Real Estate Talk with Tracy and Tigo Venturi. Good morning, Tigo.
Good morning, Tracy.
Hey, we're always here Saturday mornings on KIVA 1600 AM, and so happy that you join us. And today we're going to talk about some awesome real estate topics. Tigo, I know you're anxious for May next week, but we're not even done with April yet. So I'm sure you have stats, even though they're not end of month stats.
Yeah, we're close, and we'll have some good data here coming out of April here pretty soon. But I do have some interesting things that I'm picking up on out there in the economy, and want to talk about that a little bit. Tracy, we want to talk about rental scams.
Totally.
A lot of rental scams out there. We're going to get into that. I've got some interesting demographics on who are buying homes right now, and you might be surprised on who they are. And then the other thing I want to hit on is this story that's been floating around about loan level price adjustments, and that's the technical term, the LLPAs. But everybody's probably seen the story that mortgages are going to cost more for people with good credit, and that's true. However, there needs to be some context to that story, so I wanted to bring that up.
Sure. So first of all, we're with Real Broker here in Albuquerque, and just have to get that out there. So Tigo, where do you want to start? So
let's talk about the rental scam. Tracy, there was that story. You and I get the morning brew, and if, I'm sure a lot of people get it. It's just kind of a quick little summary of what's going on, at least from, their point of view of what's going on out there. But they did do a story that addressed the rental scams. And, you and I and anybody that's been in real estate for any period of time in the realtor world know that there's rental scams out there.
We sure do. And unfortunately, the people who do those scams are pretty darn good at it.
They are good at it, and they're pretty tricky. And there's a lot of different versions of rental scams, but I want you to go into that. But first, I just want to set it up. I want people to understand that people are desperate to find places to live right now. There's a shortage of homes for sale. There's just people aren't selling their homes as often. And there's a shortage of properties for rent in Albuquerque. In particular, we have a very, very tight rental market. And so when that happens, people get a little desperate, right, to find something. And these scammers can take advantage of that situation. The thing is, we've had these rental scammers even when people weren't desperate, right? We had these rental scams back in, after the housing bubble in 2010, 12, 13, right? So
Totally.
They've been around forever. So just what are some of the common rental scams that we see?
Sure. So a lot of times there's somebody that's advertising a property for rent that they have no affiliation with. They're not the owner. They're not the property manager. They've just copied perhaps some other data from somewhere, of an old listing perhaps of when the house was for sale, and put some pictures, and they put it out there and they say, this house is available for rent, and it might be on some very reputable sites. However, the information it's usually priced, Tigo, a little lower than market price, right?
That's one of the red flags that people need to watch out. And let me just say this. I think a lot of people listening probably don't need a place to rent, but they probably know somebody that's going to be in the rental market. So you just, take this and make sure you're sharing it with people, because it's really sad when you see somebody that's, maybe got enough for their deposit and their first month rent, and suddenly that money's gone.
So you jumped way to the end here. So suddenly that money's gone. We haven't even said yet how that money goes away, but let me go through that. So, and perfect for, date night, Tigo. You said, make sure you tell your people, your friends. So
yeah.
Date night, great conversation, rental scams, right?
Right.
Okay. So a lot of times they put it out there. They purport to be the owner of the property. They usually have the rent a little under market or a lot under market. I've seen that. Sometimes there's a long story affiliated with it, said, we're just looking for a good Christian family to take care of the house and be great stewards of the property. That's why the rent's a little low. We had to suddenly leave the country, or we suddenly had to leave town, and we just want a good tenant.
I've seen the one too where they'll say, yes, the home's for sale and the signs out front, but you can just ignore that and don't tell the realtor because they don't know that I'm actually renting it. I don't want the realtor to know, because that's what they'll do. They'll take homes for sale and use the photos and repost it as a rental.
Correct. Boy, that's really good too, because they've already told people not to call the realtor, so the realtor might not know. But we've actually had times where someone has connected with someone who's not really the owner and not really the property manager, that's just trying to scam someone out of first month's rent and maybe a deposit, actually meet at the property. And, right now, not a lot of our houses are sitting vacant for very long, but we have had property managers that either rekey or somehow get access to that property, or they get there and they say, oh, I don't know what happened. The last tenant must have done something. My key doesn't work. I can't get you in. So sometimes they'll even meet you at the property.
Yeah. A few years ago, there was a situation in Southwest Albuquerque where it was a new construction home. You know which one I'm talking about. New construction home. And, they at that time, they were kind of sitting on the market. They were sitting vacant. And somebody actually met a family at the house, let them in the house. This family moved into the house. And the job foreman showed up the next week, just checking on stuff. It's like, what are you people doing here? Says, well, we rented it from blah, blah, blah. Right. And that person was long gone. So yeah. So let's just talk about what are the things people need to watch out for, Tracy.
So first of all, somebody who's not in area to meet you.
Yep.
Right. Or rentals price is too low.
Yep.
Or they are not requiring much background check or an application, although a lot of times the application is a part of it and they're getting all your personal information, right? You're
Correct.
giving them your banking information
Correct.
and things. So you really want to be careful. Other things? Yeah.
So the other, things I would say is if it's on a website like Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, those are the two big ones. And the reason I'm not saying that all of those on there are a scam. A lot of them are property managers. They're valid rental properties. A lot of them are
apartment complexes where you're going to go to an office and person works there.
However, there's no barrier to entry for a person posting something on there. So somebody in, the other side of the world can grab a couple photos of a home for sale or a home for rent, put it up there, and, run this whole scam. So, just all of those things, it's basically, buyer beware, use caution, meet people at the house. And if it sounds too good to be true, or if there's some sort of situation that, doesn't make sense, you just got to have your, what do they say? Your spidey sense up.
If
something like that.
Hair on the back of your neck stands up, listen to it. So it's that time of year, Tigo. Kids are all going to be getting out of school in the next month.
Yep.
A lot of times it's the time of year when people are moving and making changes. So get the word out, make sure everybody knows that there's a lot of rental scams going on, and help protect each other.
Okay.
Because once the money's gone, it's gone.
It's bad.
You get to file your police report, but I've not heard of anybody being found on these scams.
Yeah, because usually they're on the other side of the world. One last thing on that. In Albuquerque, and again, this is Tigo and Tracy Venturi with the Venturi Group of Real Broker in Albuquerque, and you can call us at 448-8888. Just wanted to get that out there. But I wanted to talk about Rental Beast, because there's a product that is going to be launching in the Albuquerque area very soon. Mid-June is what we're looking at. And this is going to be a rental marketplace.
Which is great for all you property managers that listen to our show. This is something I know, Tigo, you've worked really hard with the board.
For years
to try to get something where we have one great database for rental properties.
Yeah.
So appreciate that. And now tell us about Rental Beast.
Yeah. So it's a product called Rental Beast. And it, like I said, it's going to be launching in mid-June. I'm the Southwest MLS president this year. And we've been working on this for multiple years, and we're just about ready to launch. And what this is going to be is similar to the multiple listing service that we have, Homes for Sale, or the Carnum, which is a commercial brokerage. They have a website for, again, listings. We didn't and do not have a centralized place or a central source of truth, which Richard, our
Central
MLS.
source of truth.
Central source of truth.
Truth.
Wow.
Truth?
I can't put that together today.
I know.
Oh,
That's
man.
why I'm like, are you saying truth?
Those 3 words are tough for me today.
There's actually more than 3. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
Anyway. Yeah. So it's now I'm derailed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
Rental beast.
Rental beast. So anyway, but it's going to be a single source or a single database where property managers, property owners, landlords can list all their properties, all the realtors that are helping people with rental property. It's going to be one single database, which we do not have right now, and we're really excited about it. And then for the consumer, the renter, the people looking for properties, now they're going to have a single source, trusted source that they can go to find properties for rent.
So this is so awesome, such great news, because over the years, when people call us and they're relocating to New Mexico or to Albuquerque metro area, they call and they say, yeah, we need help finding a rental. And I'm like, well, let me start giving you a lot of the property managers' websites and start looking at their websites and finding properties that they list for sale, because there isn't one source. And in addition to that, a lot of times people coming to our area don't even know parts of town. So they can look at a property on a property manager's website and they go, okay, what part of town? They need consultation, right? They need someone to help them.
Well, and the thing is, most of us residential realtors don't really work in the rental world, right? There's not a whole lot of crossover between, single family home sales and property management. And there probably still won't be. There'll be some of that, but not a lot of it. But now we do have a resource that we can direct people to that are looking for a place, which we just haven't had. So I'm super excited about it. If you're a realtor, property manager, commercial broker, anybody in the rental world, and you want to get more information, you can actually just reach out to me directly. We're going to be doing a lot of training on this for the community here in the coming months. So.
Great. And so, Tigo, just to clarify, when we're doing this show about Albuquerque real estate, we cover the whole metro area, right? It's Rio Rancho, it's Edgewood, it's all the way to Belen, it's Algodones, it's Placitas, it's Corrales, it's, we always say Albuquerque, but of course it's central New Mexico. So,
well, and that's just, when I do all the stats and I do data, I always say Albuquerque, but generally we're talking about Greater Albuquerque, not Albuquerque proper. So Greater Albuquerque or Albuquerque Metro or Albuquerque MSA.
Okay, we got the picture.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sure.
Wait. Do you know what the Albuquerque MSA is? Metropolitan Statistical Area, that the Census Bureau and the
You mean the actual
Bureau
area
of Labor Statistics?
that they say?
The MSA. What does it cover?
I don't know.
I'm putting you on the
I'm
spot.
thinking it's probably Albuquerque, Rio Rancho, Corrales, Placitas.
It's based on counties.
Las Lunas. Okay, Valencia.
Yep.
Sandoval.
Yep.
Bernalillo.
Yep.
I don't know about if it covers. I'm sure it's not Santa Fe County.
Not Santa Fe. It's Torrance.
It's Torrance.
Torrance. So it's the 4 counties. Yeah. I mean, obviously Torrance and.
So it's Edgewood and Torrance or Santa Fe?
It's some of both.
Right. That was why I was hesitating on Santa Fe.
I think there's some Bernalillo addresses that are Edgewood, aren't there? Or maybe not.
Bernalillo, Edgewood?
No, Bernalillo County that are Edgewood. Okay, we really got off track there, but it's an interesting, sorry, folks, we're just yabbering here. Okay. All right. So the other thing
Torrance is a long ways out, speaking of yabbering, whatever you said. I mean, we've shown plenty of properties in Torrance County. So.
Yeah. Okay, this might upset some people because, they saw one story and they believe what they saw was true, and I get that. However, there's been a story floating around here now for a couple of weeks. I did a short little video on it. We talked about it last week with Thon from Primary Residential Mortgage.
2 weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks ago? Okay. And so basically there's a story out there that says that, some of the headlines where Biden administration is charging people with good credit to pay for people with bad credit, right? That's one of the headlines. And that is somewhat true. But what they've done is there's this thing called loan level price adjustments. They've always been there. And this is through mortgages that are underwritten by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which fund most of the mortgages in the country.
Okay. So I was in an Uber this week.
Okay.
And the Uber driver wanted to ask me about this.
Yeah.
And the stories.
Yeah.
And he said, is this only for FHA or Fannie and Freddie properties. And I thought, wow, this Uber driver's asking me something so specific. And I said, I'm going to have to ask. I don't know if
it is.
Is it not? We're not talking about conventional loans.
No, these are conventional loans, not FHA.
Oh,
we're talking Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Yep.
Just conventional. So
yes.
in FHA, VA, this does not apply?
Correct.
Okay, keep going now.
Yeah. Okay, good. No, that was a great question. That's a good, really, really good point. And what's happened is
in the Uber, sorry. I was like, dang, where's my husband when I need him? He's asking me like detailed, or my daughter, who's also a lender, right?
Yeah,
or our daughter.
Yeah.
I was like, I rely on you for too many stats, I guess, Tigo.
Yeah,
okay, go ahead. Finish the story. We all want to know the truth.
I'm your Google when it comes to market data.
You are my Google.
Okay, so basically what these price adjustments for mortgages have always been there. And people with poor credit get charged some premiums for them to underwrite these mortgages. People with better credit don't get charged as much or don't get charged anything. It has to do with your credit score as well as how much down payment you have, right? And there's this whole matrix and stuff. I'm not going to go into that. The one thing I want to so first off, what happened was they shifted around where the fees are. And that's where the story came from is so the people that have poorer credit or lower down payments, they're not getting charged as much. And people with better credit and maybe more down payment are maybe getting charged a little bit more. So it wasn't that it's basically they just moved the fees around. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it still is essentially though.
That
the people with good credit are having to pay more than they were before.
They are, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. However, this is the main point I want to make because I've seen it on social media where people are going, well, I'm just going to get crappier credit so I can get a better rate, right? I've heard people, yeah,
I've seen it.
People say crazy things on
Twitter's
social media.
Crazy.
But it's like, no. There is no situation where if you have poorer credit and lower down payment, that you get a better rate. If you've got a better credit score and a better down payment, you're always going to get the better rate. Now,
Good.
Again,
there we go.
That's the end of it.
End of story right there.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate that you could get to that point because that's exactly what everyone needs to hear.
Yeah. And just the policy itself, I'm not commenting on that. I mean, the industry is up in arms over it. There's a whole nother component to it that we haven't even talked about, and that has to do with debt to income ratios, but that's got kicked down the road. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that today. So, anyway, just wanted to clear that story up so people understand. Tracy.
Chigo.
Mortgage rates. That's
you did something really interesting. You did a little
ugly.
self-analysis, right?
It's pretty ugly. So, basically there's three factors that affect affordability, right?
Yes, three things. Low inventory, right?
Right. Well,
interest rates.
Yeah. Yep.
Lack of demand.
Well, actually, let me rephrase that. Yeah. So there is an affordability, let's say, issue, right? And it has to do with basically prices, interest, and wages, right? So those are those three pieces that go together,
right?
Right. And so what's happened in home sales are down. The number of homes selling are down, right? I'm trying to back up here a little bit because I kind of jumped ahead on this story. Right. But the number of homes selling are down, right? But why are those sales down, Tracy? That's the question. Is it for lack of demand?
I would say it's not for lack of demand. The demand is definitely there. We have a lot of buyers looking for a house for sale and competing in our market for a house.
Yeah.
As in there are many buyers typically for every house that comes on the market.
So we're in this situation where we have low supply, low inventory, basically number of homes on the market. Very low, still very low. Lower, it's higher than last year, but still extremely low in any other comparison, right? Last year was an anomaly big time. But what's happened is now we've got these affordability challenges where, again, prices have gone up. Listen to this. Prices have gone up 59% in Albuquerque
Metro
on average,
area.
metro area on average, 59% over the last 5 years. And 42% of that was in the last 3 years. Home prices in Albuquerque have appreciated 42% in the last 3 years.
And tell us where you get that number from.
I get that from FHFA.
There you go.
Federal Finance, Federal
Home Finance.
Federal Housing Finance Authority. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah. So, and that's about as good as it gets. It's similar to the Case-Shiller that everybody's familiar with too, but I mean, that's solid data. So, we had 13% in 2020. We had 17% in 2021. We had 12% in 2022. Now, the good news is it's moderated this year.
Our prices are still going up, but very slowly right now.
Slower. We're going to see next week, but it does look like the year over year continues to appreciate it. And I've said this a bunch of times. I'll say it one more time is from May of 22 last year through December of last year, home prices did pull back a little bit. But ever since the beginning of the year, this year, they've been starting to go back up again.
Just to clarify, they pulled back a little bit, but they still were up by the end of the year.
Year over year, yes.
Year over year by the end of the year. So they started out going up very high.
Last spring was nutty. Yeah.
And then throughout the summer, things calmed down.
Correct.
And by the end of the year, we were still up, but just not like we were early in the year.
So prices. So we've had this big run up in prices. Again, 59% in the last 5 years for Albuquerque. And then the other piece was mortgage rates, right? So you think about in 2019, they were, 4-ish, right? And then in 2019 was a really busy year. And then of course, 2020, the pandemic hits and we get down, in the threes for mortgages. And then in 2021, we had sub 3% mortgages for
not the whole year,
but for certain times during the year. And then last year, 2022, we start, in the, let's say, sorry, I got distracted. From the mid threes, low threes at the beginning of the year last year and up to at one point over 7%. Now, right now, we're kind of in this mid 6% range.
Right.
But get this, I mean, mortgage rates went up 133% last year.
Yeah.
And so that has such an impact on people's housing costs, right? And so you compound the fact that home prices have gone up and also the double whammy of the much higher interest rates, which really has much more impact on your monthly cost than the actual home price appreciation. So yeah, affordability is a challenge. And of course, the third component is wages. And, wages are going up slowly, but it's, definitely not keeping up with the inflation.
Yeah, I saw a wage chart.
Mm-hmm.
And it has the wages over the last couple of years have definitely jumped up.
Yeah.
Which, is the way it is. We've looked at the prices across the board to go to the grocery store or to go out to eat, everything's jumped up, but wages have jumped up a lot.
Sorry about all the stats and the wonkiness, but I think it's, and of course, on top of that, now we're just talking about, purchases, rents have gone up substantially too. So just overall, the cost of housing in Albuquerque has gone up a lot. And
we're not abnormal.
No, we are not.
The rest of the country is
abnormal at all.
The rest of the country's right there with us or more.
In fact, during let's say the 3-year pandemic, run up, we didn't go up as much as some other markets, especially in the Southwest.
Right.
So, that's good news because there are some markets where things have pulled back quite a bit. But we're, like I said, we pulled back a little bit this last year, but not much. Okay. Some good news.
I'm ready.
There's some good news out there.
Okay.
I know it doesn't feel like it.
No, it feels like it. It's beautiful. Spring's here.
So
everything's turning green.
So this last week, the PCE, which is an inflation measure, came out. It's not as important as the other one, the CPI. Anyway, but there's some good news in that basically it looks like inflation is coming down. And when inflation comes down, mortgage rates should follow and they will come down too. So
I wouldn't hold out for a 3% mortgage rate, though, right?
No. Even the most optimistic prognosticators on mortgage rates are saying, mid fives.
Which is a big move from mid sixes.
Like I said, that's the most optimistic. And then, there's other people that says they're going to go to 9. So who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So foreclosures. Can we talk just for a few minutes about foreclosures?
Sure. So
the news you put out this week and the story that you put out on YouTube, really good stuff. There's always this like doom and gloom, foreclosures are on the rise, right? And at our team meeting on Tuesday morning, you pulled up a graph and you showed us foreclosures historically, what's in the hopper and what's coming. And you can always say they're double or whatever.
Yeah, they're like double from last year. So if you see the headline saying, my gosh, foreclosures doubled from last year, it's like, well, they doubled from 0 to 2, right? Or whatever. It's like, so yeah,
when you look at a chart over, I don't know what that was, about 20 years probably that you pulled up.
Yeah.
And they're the lowest since last year.
Yeah, last year was a
second lowest in 20 years for what's available as a foreclosure.
Well, and what's interesting, if you go back like maybe last year, there was a lot of conversations like, oh, we're going to have this foreclosure surge because all those people that got, basically relief during the pandemic and, they're going to suddenly have to start paying and we're going to get this, surge of foreclosures. Well, it's not happening.
No. Plus people have equity. So even if they weren't able to pay during the pandemic and they had to then kind of catch up or something.
Yeah.
I know some of them didn't have to catch up. They let them just start new and redid their loans or whatever. But what happened, I had a client this past week and they had purchased a house right before pandemic and then they lost their jobs and they couldn't work and they were, not paying on their house and they were trying to figure out what to do. And they got jobs and they refinanced and took cash out and paid off all their debt.
Wow.
I was like, what? How do you refinance for a cash out when you had all that time off work? But all the stars must have aligned for them.
Wow.
So,
well, and, again, I go back to this, right? 42% home price appreciation in the last 3 years.
That was it. They hit it just right. Their home had appreciated enough and their credit hadn't taken a bad enough hit apparently that they could get a cash out refi.
The balance sheets of homeowners in the United States are it's not as good as it was last year, but there's so much equity. There's it's a record level of equity that homeowners have right now. And so anyway, there's good news there. There's no sign of any surge in all these distressed properties coming on the market. Yes, we're going to have some. There always are some. I think the last number I saw was 3% in Albuquerque, which is pretty low. Or in New Mexico, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Which is very low. And when we have someone call us and say, hey, I want to buy a foreclosed property. I want to get a foreclosure and get a good deal. We always say, A, very, very few foreclosures, and B, they're not always a good deal, as in fact, most of them are market price. Right?
Well, and what we've seen now, definitely different than 2009, 10, 11, is these banks that take back these properties, they might go and actually rehab them.
Totally. Yeah. So as we wrap
up, add value before they sell them. Yeah.
Totally. As we wrap up, we are on show number 444.
Episode 444. We've been doing this for a long time. We love doing it.
Going on almost 9 years. So yeah, show 444. Tigo, what's the best way for everyone to get in touch with us?
Yeah, we're the Venturi Group with Real Broker. You can call us at 505-448-8888. Visit our website at welcomehomeabq.com. And what?
On YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Twitter, on... watch us, follow us, like everything.
I don't do a lot on Twitter, but you can definitely follow me. If you really want to, I do a weekly market update on Monday mornings, just giving a look at, what happened in the last week and where things are at. You can catch that on YouTube and Facebook are probably the best places.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.